It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
Today is the 4th of November, and as you well know, we've passed the 1 year mark, and we are on episode 53. So we'll go down the list here as usual and say hello. So how's it going, Chris?
Hey Adam, how's everybody doing?
Good. Hernan, how's it going?
Hey stranger, hey everyone, it's good to be here.
I got nothing. Marco, how you doing, man?
That's pseudo Adam. What's up, man?
Hey, Bradley, what's up?
Yeah, that's the kindler, gentler Adam with the no scruff beard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's his little brother.
It's for aerodynamics so he can run faster.
Right.
I had to make some changes after Halloween, and if Kendrick's here and if he asks, I'll post the picture from Halloween, and I don't rock a goatee, and that's why I had to shave, but I'll share that picture if he's on here, because he was asking me about it.
The door is wide open for Wayne Clayton.
Yeah.
You shaved the beard halfway for Halloween? Like
Yeah.
a split face? Like, I'm serious.
No, not like halfway. I had like just the goatee, like the part right here.
Breaking Bad costumes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty good. I saw the picture.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
pretty happy,
really-
so I'll put
really
it up
good.
if Kendrick's here. So
Kevin Butler says, Bradley will go beardless next week. No, my face is too fat. If I don't have a beard, then I look funny, so...
Oh man. Well, today we just got one quick announcement, so go ahead and let everybody know. If you haven't heard, we do have a date for the release of the Twitter SEO Academy, which I believe actually somebody was asking about, and that is going to be on Monday, the 23rd of November. So stay tuned, and we will definitely be having some more information and some details about it. But we wanted to say that we've got the release date, and we're getting ready for that.
You want to mention the JV page in case anybody wants to promote it?
I do. I do not have the link on me, so I will grab it and post it up here. But we've got or Hernan will do that. Thank you.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you are interested in promoting, by all means, Hernan will drop the link in there. Go check it out. See if that's what you want to do, and you can also win some great prizes. So just check out the JV page, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Was there anything else we had?
Yeah, aren't we also finalizing dates for the Costa Rica summit?
Oh, yeah,
Or is that only? Are we going to talk about that tomorrow in the mastermind? How are we going to do that?
Yeah, I think so. I think Adam said we wanted to mention that tomorrow during the Mastermind webinar, and then we'll kind of do a full announcement of it next week. But yeah, we're finalizing those details now. So
Yeah, I think we mentioned it last week or the week before, and we'll tell everybody some more about it later. But the mastermind members get the details first.
okay, cool. All right, well, we got lots of questions already. This is the first week in after our 1 year anniversary, so this is kind of exciting. Just a reminder, guys, we will be here next week, but the following week we will not have a Hump Day Hangouts 2 weeks from today, because we're all going to be meeting face-to-face for the first time, believe it or not, in Miami. So we'll be out of town for that week, and we're going to take that week off. So just so you guys are aware of that. But besides that, we got lots of questions, which is good. Let's go ahead and jump right in and get to it. So can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, Rainier says, if I have a bunch of posts with a lot of good, juicy content that I want index, what would be the best approach? Use a theme that puts all the posts on a blog page as well as displays them in full on the main page. Just leave them on a blog page only, or display them on the main page in full to avoid possible duplicate content issues in, I guess, option A. Honestly, most blogs don't display the full text post anymore. They usually just display a snippet and then a read more button, and that's in part because of duplicate content issues that can occur. If you're going to display a full text post, and by the way, as far as you're saying you want them to be indexed, indexing is easy, guys, especially if you have decent content. It's not hard to get stuff indexed. You can submit the URL directly to Google Webmaster Tools, even if you don't have your website connected to the Search Console. It doesn't matter. You can submit your URLs there. Something else that you can do is just tweet the URL. As long as your Twitter account isn't in a sandbox, which is, again, all that's covered in the Twitter SEO Academy, which we just mentioned earlier. That's going to be released later this month. But if you have a Twitter account that has a few followers and you're not in a sandbox, you can just tweet a blog post URL and the spiders will come crawl it and index it damn near instantly. So as far as indexing, that's not a problem. These questions alone, though, apart from indexing, I would suggest just leaving a blog page. And then if you're worried about duplicate content issues, number one, don't put them to full text post. Most themes are going to truncate them anyways. Most themes. Some of them will give you an option, but most of the time, there's no reason for the full text post to be displayed on a blog page anyways. In fact, on our own blog at semanticmastery.com, I don't know if you guys have visited our blog recently, but go to semanticmastery.com, click on the blog button on the top navigation bar, and we hired a content manager, and she is pumping out so much content. It's freaking awesome. So check out our blog. If you're not already subscribe to our RSS feed. But we had to, because of the Hump Day Hangouts that we post the replay on our blog, we ended up having to truncate the post. We had them set to full text, but we had to truncate it because otherwise you got this huge scroll area to get through if the posts are long before you get to the next post, and that can be a bit irritating. So it's better just to have it truncated and have a read more button. Again, this has nothing to do with indexing. Either one, any of these questions won't affect indexing at all. It's just a matter of visitor experience, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say just that, Bradley. I mean, user experience should be your #1 priority, Rainer. And if you have that read more button, it will trigger an interaction,
That's right.
So in Google Analytics, it will show as an interaction, as an actual click, So in case somebody lands on your home, they will have to read more to check them out. In fact, there are newspapers and magazines and whatnot that they have these carousels or slides that you need to go through them in order to read the full post. That's also enticing an interaction. I think theinformer.com has a quote before you actually see the page, and you need to close that quote, and that's counted as an interaction. So they are always trying to trigger that click from the visitor. So you should do the same.
Yeah, you're manipulating engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially you're forcing engagement on your posts, which is good for user engagement metrics, which is the #1 most important ranking signal now, right? Is user engagement. So I totally agree with Hernan.
Yep.
Usually what I'll do is if most sites don't have blog rolls on the home page. They might have a feature. Most real sites, guys, PBN sites, completely different story. But that's in part why PBN sites get de-indexed a lot too, is because they always have the blog roll on the home page. But for most real normal type websites, they're not going to have a blog roll on the home page. They might have an area, like a featured area, where the most recent blog post will be displayed, the featured image, and then the link over to actually view the blog post. But most websites don't display full text or posts on the home page anymore. Okay, the home page is more of a static thing with maybe some dynamically updated sections. So I recommend you just have a blog page on your site, and then obviously you can always no index the blog page. You can do that in your SEO plugin settings, whichever SEO plugin they all do. They all have similar functions, so you can no index the blog page if you want. Don't no follow it though, because you want any juice coming in on that page to flow through to the posts. Okay. So it's entirely up to you, but I usually just leave it to index and just set it to display all the posts on the blog page. Okay, Sky says, I'm curious on your thoughts of RankBrain and the future of long-tail keyword phrases. Do you think beginner SEO people are going to have a much more difficult time getting into the game? Yes, Sky, but if you asked me that 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago or 15 months ago, I'd have said the same thing, and if you ask me 6 months from now, I'm going to say the same thing. Of course, getting into the SEO game later is always going to be harder than getting in sooner. It's just more complex, and it's becoming more complex on a daily basis, but that's the nature of what we do. I mean, that's our business, and that's why you can make a lot of money doing it too, because it weeds out all the riffraff, so to speak, the people that are lazy or that don't, if you're not, SEO is not something that you can do if you're not truly passionate about it, because it does require an awful lot of study and testing and time to put into it. So, as far as, yeah, is it going to be harder for people getting into the game? Yes, but that's a good thing for those of us that are already in the game, or for those people that are incredibly ambitious, that aren't, you know, that aren't afraid to put in the work. He says, I'm having good success with long tail phrases and wonder if the following approach makes sense. A more difficult ranking phrase would be my top level page, and then have 3 to 4 pages with very similar keyword phrases and different content would all interlink and also link to the top level page. Or with RankBrain, does it make more sense to focus on a single page and try to rank for all the different phrases? I think the former approach is easier, but I know Google wants the latter, and at some point they might penalize the multiple page approach. Sky, since Panda 3 or 3.1, I can't remember, it was around April of 2014, whichever one that was. It was a Panda update. I have been saying the second part of what you mentioned there, which is that it's unnecessary to build silos out now with the top level term and then a whole bunch of very closely related keywords, each with their own separate post to make up a silo. And in fact, I think that's over optimization, because each one of those posts are targeting one specific keyword that is very closely related to the main keyword that you're trying to rank for. So it's almost as if it's duplicate content, even if it is unique content on each post or, you know, supporting article. It's overkill. And so I have found, since Panda 3.0 or 3.1, whenever that was, back in April of 2014, that you're better off going with a long copy page and have sections, headings, basically, that separate the sections where you target those additional keywords. Okay, and then if you're going to be doing, if you need to set up the silo structure to boost that page, which is still quite, you know, most likely it's going to be necessary, you target the really long tail stuff or questions, stuff that you can find using tools like Power Suggest Pro, Google Suggest keyword phrases, because those are generally very long tail, they're low competition, and they make sense because it's actual search queries that people are typing into Google. And so you optimize the posts for those type of queries and then interlink those up to your top level page, in which case would have all of the supporting keywords covered in that one page. So what would typically be a normal silo structure or a traditional silo structure as we've known it for the last several years would be to have like your top level term, you know, 800 to 1,000 words on the page. Then you find 4 or 5 supporting keywords that are closely related to that top level term, and you have blog posts of, you know, 600 to 1,000 words for each one of those keywords, each post focusing around one specific keyword, and then you interlink all of those up to the top level page. Again, in my opinion, it's like, how many times can you say blue widgets without it becoming overkill or repetitive? You know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, and through my testing, I have found having one top-level page with about 1,500 to 2,000 words is much more effective, and then you use those long-tail phrases that you find through suggest scraping tools such as Power Suggest Pro as your blog posts, because they'll rank damn near instantly because of the long-tail nature of them, and they're supporting type keyword search queries that people are actually typing in. You want to compound on that, Hernan or Marco or anybody?
I think that you nailed it with the content length. I mean, if you're providing content for the user, the least that you could do is, I would say, I don't know, 1,200 words or 1,500 words, even 2,000 words.
Yeah.
For a morning post or something like that. So on those 2,000 words, you have more than enough room to get all of those synonyms, because have in mind that RankBrain has been developed and deployed with Hummingbird. That was the main idea of Hummingbird, is to keep working RankBrain on the background. But my point is that Google is becoming smarter when interpreting or seeing what people want, actually what they are looking for when typing.
What is their search
queries.
intent?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So when typing complex queries, it has to process a lot of synonyms. You know, that's why Google is so advanced, in my opinion, in English, English language, but on other languages it's still a bit behind. That's because the language pattern and the syntax and the grammar of the English language makes it right now a priority. So when you're using a ton of synonyms and a ton of LSIs, and you're using a ton of objects, with schema marking up things, you have a ton of content there. So I don't think there's a need for old, like 5 years ago or 10 years ago SEO tactics where you would put a lot of similar page with similar keywords.
Yeah, again, I think it's overkill, and at some point it will pull your site down because it's repetitive. It's like you can't. And I know, look, that's how I used to build sites too because it worked, but I don't think that's necessary anymore. And through a lot of websites that I've built since that update, I've seen the big difference. And like Hernan just said, RankBrain has been being developed since Hummingbird was introduced to, which basically replaced. It was the beginning of Google's semantic web engine, right? Which is what Hummingbird was, and that's where complex queries come in, and more natural language type patterns started to emerge in the search queries as far as what kind of results were returned. And a lot of that had to do because of the voice search now through mobile devices, because people speak their search in to Google instead of just typing it in. And that's where Hummingbird came in. And so knowing that, and that's where the Google Suggest keyword phrases or search phrases come in, and that's why they're so, in my opinion, the best type of keywords to be targeting in SEO. Remember, guys, the Google Keyword Planner is an SEO, it's an AdWords tool. It's for people bidding on pay-per-click keywords. It is not an SEO tool. So although you can use that to give you some ideas on search volume and such, it is not the best tool to be using for finding keywords for SEO purposes. Suggest, however, is, in my opinion, the best and most efficient way to find keywords in search queries that people are actually typing into Google, and then optimizing for those. Whether that's a playground with a lot less competition. Does that make sense? So, anyways, hopefully that answered your question. We're going to move on. So, Carlos says 2 questions: 1, completed site, siloed and plugins installed. 2, full tier. Where's the 2 questions? Okay, this is a checklist to get to the questions. I get it. Full tier network integrated, 4 rings, tier 1 and tier 3, tier 2. Okay, backlink commando and index are set. About 20 articles and 6 videos. Most keywords targeted with Power Suggester on page 2. Some are on page 1. I'll +1 that. First question: what is the immediate thing I need to do to push all my posts to page 1? FCS, SociSend, crowd search, SAPE, etc. What do you recommend? Okay, I don't recommend using SociSend anymore. That was a great tool that I used like extensively. I used it very, very heavily. I had 2 installs of it, actually, enterprise installs, because I used it so much for about 1.5 years. But in about the last 6 months, it's really gone downhill because of spammers. So I don't recommend using SociSend for tier 1 anything anymore. You can still use it for like videos, for boosting videos and for like 2nd tier and 3rd tier links, but I don't recommend using it for 1st tier. So I would cross that off the list. As far as pushing your post to page 1, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, Carlos. It's pretty much endless, the amount of the things that you can do, the possibilities around this. That's what I was looking to say. Mm-hmm. One thing that I like to do is you can actually grab the post URLs from the Web 2 accounts on your Tier 1 branded network and then boost those specific post URLs, because they're going to be linking back to the original post on the money site anyways, so you can use those as buffers. Mm-hmm. So typically what I do, and I hear Hernan ready to chime in, so give me 1 second. But sure. Typically what I'll do is I'll boost the home pages of all the Tier 1 properties, because I don't. It takes too much additional effort to extract the post URLs specifically to build links to. However, and so I just do it all by boosting the home pages. Eventually, the posts will paginate, though, right? They'll push off the home page. Mm-hmm. So if I have some posts on my money site that just need a little bit of an additional boost, I'll go pull my post URLs from like Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, those properties, and then I'll set up link building campaigns to those post URLs, which will ultimately funnel back to my money site and help to boost those. Now you can jump in, Hernan.
Okay, thank you. No, I mean, my main point here is that I totally agree with you, Bradley. It will all depend a lot, Carlos, on what niche you're in and the competition and whatnot. You already know that. But what my process would be, once you have the entire silo and the IFTTT network working, then I start pumping the IFTTT network. Usually I wait a couple of weeks because at some point you do not need to power them up, you know, at some point. But if you're on a much more competitive niche, then yeah, I would suggest that you start powering them up with FCS and GSA, or with GSA only, or with SAPE. And then I do, for a kickstart, I do a press release.
Yeah.
So as to kind of equalize the link profile of that particular website. So then I can, you know, start being a tad more aggressive with the internal linking when posting, you know, because every post that you make with an with that exact mark anchor in a post linking back to another page inside your website, it will syndicate out. So those will be exact match links. So once you have a press release done, fully branded and fully URL links, then you can start pumping up your IFTTT networks, and then you can start doing some SAPE to internal pages, as Bradley was saying. But I usually just start with the basic on-site and the IFTTT network and see if that's enough, which usually is for ranking for long-term for long tails.
And I'll second what you said about press releases, guys. I use the hell out of press releases. I love them. I think it's a great strategy for not just for SEO purposes, but also for just driving traffic. So press releases are a great way to also build, like those can be used as tier 1 links, but I recommend that you use either branded anchors or naked URLs if you're going to do that, because otherwise you can get in trouble for over optimizing anchor text very easily. All right, but the other thing is, you mentioned crowd search, and yeah, absolutely. Now, keep in mind with crowd search, I don't like to run direct traffic to my money site through using crowd search unless it's with navigational terms only, which means brand searches. Because I just at some point I feel like that's going to get websites in trouble. So what I typically will do is set up a referral traffic campaign where I'm running traffic through my Web 2 posts or social media posts back to the money site. So it's a 2-step process. Crowd search searches for the Web 2 post, finds the Web 2 post, which would be from your IFTTT network, and then clicks on that, and then you tell crowd search to use the internal link feature to find the link back to your post on your money site and click on that. And that'll drive referral traffic in from social media or Web 2 sites, which it looks great in Google's eyes, especially if you've got your site connected to analytics, because you'll see referral traffic coming in, and that's a great ranking signal for Google. So that's something else that you can do. If you have access to crowd search, that's the best way to do it. Which reminds me, that's why, guys, I did Adam, if you can find the post about referral traffic that I just posted on our blog last week, I think it was.
Okay.
And then we'll drop that up here and tag Carlos when you drop it. But there's a post that I did about how to use crowd search for referral traffic for videos, but it works just the same for websites. And I've had a lot of really, really good results with that, guys. It's not an instant result. It's not something that you could put into place tonight and 3 days later your page is going to be ranked. But you have to let it run. You have to let it run with conservative values. In other words, your search and click number is low. You got to keep it low, but just keep it steady. And in the course of a few weeks, you'll see a significant jump, and then it sticks. And that's what I've had some really good really good results with both videos and local sites that way. Okay. Second question, I ran freegrader.com on my domain, and it failed. I can tell you, without even looking at this site, I wouldn't believe a word that damn thing tells you. Freegrader. Should I click on it?
No.
I'm afraid to.
No, yeah, it's just
yeah, it's probably full of shit, to be honest with you. Just to put it nicely, Carlos, it's probably full of shit. I don't ever trust any of these things. Just like the Yoast SEO plugin will give you scoring with the green, the yellow, and the red indicators. Like,
right.
Don't ever follow that, or you'll be over optimized. So, don't follow that stuff. If you're one of our students, you should know how to optimize on site by now. Anyways, if you don't, just ask and we'll answer.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, but most of these tools, like we have a couple, then you have the shit, I don't remember the name. Well, you have a ton of these SEO on-site SEO tools that they are, optimizing websites based on keywords, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're not doing.
That's right.
So
They're junk, man. They are. They're junk.
yeah, if you want to optimize like a couple of years ago, go ahead, but it will most likely tell you to over-optimize your website because, even Yoast, I mean, I don't know why they haven't updated that because Yoast, it's a hell of a plugin, and they haven't updated that. They have added schema and rich markup and whatnot, but they haven't updated that meter, which will tell you put your keyword on the title, put your keyword on H1.
Which is
or
absolutely
bold.
wrong. That's right.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Absolutely wrong. If you were to turn all your posts, all the green lights on the Yoast plugin on a post, you're over optimized. Period.
Yeah.
There's no question. And so I don't use any of those page graders at all. What I look for is keyword density based on the entire page, not just the content on the page. And you can do that using a free tool called SEOcentro.com right here. I use this tool all the time. It's free. You go over here to keyword density right here. You enter your page URL, fill out the CAPTCHA, hit submit, and it will show you the page or the keyword density of a page, which includes the entire page, not just the content body.
Right.
So that will include keywords in alt text. It will look at the text inside of alt text and images. It'll look in your sidebar. It'll look in your footer, your widget area, all of that, and will analyze the page based on that.
Yeah.
And it's free. And so what you want to do with that is you want to stick with the singular terms. If we ran it, and I'm going to move on, but if you were to run an analysis of a page, it's going to show you singular terms, singular keywords, and it's going to show 2-word terms and 3-word terms. And the parameters that you want to stay within, and these can be bent slightly, okay, guys? These are just like kind of rules of thumb, but you want to stay within 2% on singular terms, 1% with 2-word terms, and 0.2% with 3-word terms. Okay?
Yeah. It's just a caveat of what we just said, unless you're doing foreign. Unless you're doing foreign SEO, then yeah, you want to go ahead with Yoast, put in it all greens because it doesn't really matter. So.
Yeah. All right, Paul says, when are you going to give us something on Twitter SEO? November 23rd, Paul. Monday, November 23rd. Estelle says, most of the services I use to rank my clients' websites are subscription-based, so that means that I need to keep paying them every month to maintain my rankings. However, I noticed that when I start working on a new client site, the first 4 to 6 months rankings skyrocket, but then reach a plateau. My problem is that I don't have any more budget to create more links, and now I need to tell my clients that if they want to rank higher, they need to invest more money. What would the solution be to avoid that kind of situation? Okay, solution number 1, ask for more money up front. Okay, seriously, raise your prices, Estelle. That's going to be solution number 1. If you're dealing with people that if you're dealing with the wrong type of business, they're going to always be resistant to spending money on their marketing because a lot of small businesses look at marketing as an expense and not as an investment. And that's why they will remain to be very small businesses because they don't look at it the right way. When you're dealing with businesses that get it, they're willing to spend more money on their marketing because it's an investment that will give them a return on investment. So I don't know what your client situation is like, Estelle. I have no idea. But I know from firsthand experience and working in the contracting industry, mainly home services industry, for most of my SEO career, I dealt with a lot of contractors that don't want to spend money. They look at it as an expense. So when you start to realize those types of clients are always going to be the ones that give you the most shit. They're going to be the hardest time. They're going to be the ones that are always tracking every single penny and dollar being spent and questioning what you're doing all the time. They're just a pain in the ass. It's better to go with clients that are a little bit bigger, that have bigger marketing budgets. A lot of clients that I like to go after are clients that are doing pay-per-click advertising, and then I approach them for SEO because I know that they're willing to spend money to bring leads in the door. So again, number 1 would be to charge more money. If you're running out of money in your budget then you're not charging enough, or you're paying too much for services that are ineffective, which could be part of it. The other part of that is, what would the solution be? Is start investing in your own infrastructure. Okay, that's one of the key factors. If you're always outsourcing work to like your link building and that sort of thing, you're always going to have to pay a portion of whatever you're charging the client out, and that can offset, like you said, to the point where you're not making any money. And then you're still managing the project, but you're not making any money, and you're still accountable to your clients. So one of the best things that you can do is start to build your own infrastructure. Hire your own link building team that work directly for you, because then you'll get your dollars will go a lot further, because if you have an in-house link building team, you have your own servers for GSA, whatever, you can build your own PBN networks. Whatever it is just to start investing in your own infrastructure, your own team, so that instead of paying an outsourcing service, you're paying your own team, which you'll get a hell of a lot more bang for your buck, so to speak. Okay? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Hernan?
I think that at some point you just don't want to keep throwing money at a project, and I get Estelle, and I totally agree with you, Bradley. I would suggest, Estelle, that you tighten up your own site, because at that point you probably have a lot of link juice flowing on your website, and sometimes we forget about that. So if you tighten up the on-site for once, and on the other side you can still build. You can still make more posts on your blogs to push those pages that are ranking on bottom page 1 or page 2 to push them higher. And that's
Hernan, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think, if I remember correctly, Estelle also posted in the IFTTT SEO Academy group, Facebook group, about something similar. And I think her issue is that a lot of her clients, she doesn't have access to their website, so all she's doing pretty much is off-page stuff. Mm-hmm. And so if you and I think Marco talked inside, replied to you, Estelle, about how you could set up your own assets and then redirect those assets to client assets, so that you have more control, and ultimately you have control over the asset in case the client decides they don't need you anymore. You can maintain all the work that you've put in.
Yeah, that's a good point. If that's the case, then no, what I was saying won't work. I would suggest, Estelle, that you either ask for access, which is what I would do. I either work, because you need to work on the on-site. It's like 80% of the SEO right now. It's not like 50-50 or not even 60-40. It's like 80%. So if you're just building, and on the other hand, if you're just building links, then you should charge for link packages. Not SEO, not rankings, not results, just link packages. I will build an IFTTT network. I will build X amount of Web 2.0s. I will build a PBN for you, whatever. But if you're not asking for access, you're kind of limping, with your SEO, because 80% of the SEO is right now on-site, and you're being accountable, as Bradley was saying. So you cannot work without the proper tools. If that's the way you want to handle it, that's fine, but I would suggest that you migrate your business from providing SEO services to providing link building services, which are less accountable, and you don't need access to that.
Yeah, there's no way in hell I would ever promise or give an expectation of rankings if all I was doing was building links. If I had no control over the on-page of the site that I was building links to, there's no way that I would make any sort of promises as to what type of results they could expect, because, like Hernan said, 80% of it is, if you have a site with proper on-page, you can rank it with a fraction of the off-page that it takes. In some sites, if the on-page isn't done properly, it doesn't matter how much off-page you throw at it, it's still not going to rank, depending on the level of competition and the space that you're working in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, for most, if you're doing on-site SEO for local clients, and you throw an IFTTT network, and the on-site is tight, then you will rank it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, when I saw her first comment in the IFTTT SEO Facebook group, it kind of surprised me, because I remember that she worked in the French market, and she has IFTTT working on her client sites, but she said it's not ranking, and I immediately went, well, how's your on-page? And that's when she said, well, I don't control the on-page. And if like you said, if you can't control the on page, then I mean, no matter what you do, that IFTTT ring is just powering up itself.
That's right.
It's not really doing anything for the website.
Yeah.
You have to be in control of that website and the on-page SEO, or else you build a blog subdomain, or you just take it out a step, and build your own asset.
Yeah.
Control it.
Which I recommend you do anyways going forward, is build your own asset. And then you could always redirect your own asset to clients that are paying you, and that way they're benefiting from the work that you've done while they're paying you. But the moment they stop paying you, you can remove redirects, and now you've reclaimed all of the work that you've done and kept it for yourself, which, in my opinion, is only fair. You know, I've had in my career where I've done work for, and most of you probably have too, where you've found a client, built them a site, ranked their site, and then they decided that they don't need you anymore because, oh, how easy it is to forget, you know, what it was like before they had traffic, you know. And so, and once you've done all the work and they've decided they don't need you anymore because they're already at #1, now you're screwed. You just lost out on all that work that you did, and you don't get to receive a recurring revenue from it, which is why if you build your own assets that you can use to power up other people's assets when they're paying you, and then if they decide to not stop paying you, you just reclaim them, and then you can redirect to the next paying client that you find.
Right.
So keep control of your business. Wow, we're not even making a dent in these. We got to get rolling. Damn.
Yeah. Gotta get
Rick
moving.
says, thanks for your help and time, folks. Let's say you got a new site, you're planning to use IFTTT network, SendWire, and press releases. Is there a danger of getting too many backlinks too soon and too frequently? Should these methods be staggered? Yeah, there is. It just depends. Can you go too hard too fast? Yes. I would recommend that you start off with your IFTTT networks and set up a consistent blog posting schedule, because that's going to be one of the most key or critical factors of ranking today is freshness and freshness of content, regular updates. Okay, so do that, and in press releases, that's perfectly normal to do a press release, especially with new sites, because you're like announcing the new site, and that'll give it a flood of links back to your site, which is great because that'll pillow the site a bit, make it more receptive or less vulnerable to over-optimization when you start building additional links to the site. And then lastly, I wouldn't use, again, my personal preference, guys, I don't use SendWire as tier 1 links to my money sites. Don't do it. I don't do it because you use spun content and it's shitty. Don't do it. Use them for second-tier links to your IFTTT networks or your press releases. If you've got a local site and you're building citations, business directories, listings, then you can use SendWire to boost those as well. But I don't recommend that you use SendWire direct to your money site. For videos, it's fine, but for money sites, I wouldn't do it because you're using spun content, guys. It's going to look crappy. All right? So just start off, like I said, with networks. Start a consistent blog posting schedule. Guys, that's one of the most critical components of it to work is consistency. And then press releases are always good. Can't say enough about doing press releases properly. And then use SendWire to boost all of those. Okay. Okay, Ed Ryan says, hey guys, having a couple of small problems with my first network. Tumblr does not let me enter the HTML into the description area under the title to add our links to the Google Plus About page and our Blogger account. Everything else went fine until I tried adding the break tag. Okay, well, Ed, there are some themes, Tumblr themes, that won't allow that, but there are lots that do, because we build dozens of networks per week now with our team, and they have no problem. So I would try to swap out the Tumblr theme, okay, and because it should work there, okay. Again, we have networks built all the time, and we don't have any problems with it. So I'm sure that it's probably a particular theme that you're using in Tumblr that doesn't allow it, but you can find plenty of them that do, okay. Also, if you have a specific issue with a Tumblr property, I would reach out to Tumblr support if that's the case. But again, I think you're just probably using the incorrect, like a theme that doesn't allow that. WordPress is giving me problems with verifying my WordPress site for Gravatar, Blogger, Google+, and YouTube, which is fine. Ed Ryan, please go check the update section of the IFTTT SEO Academy training. I specifically have 2 update posts in there addressing the Gravatar issue. Don't try to do any verified services in Gravatar anymore. Just add everything as websites. Okay, and that's covered inside the update section. All right, there's 2 posts in there about that specifically. Kevin says, I've linked my site from my niche relevant PBN that has a trust flow of 12 and citation flow of 35. Should I remove that link from my money site? If so, how do I remove the link safely? No, not necessarily. If it's niche relevant, just because this trust flow and citation flow is a bit of an imbalance there, I wouldn't remove it. You know,
How about the trust flow?
He says the trust flow is 12, but the citation.
Bump it up.
Yeah, just bump up the trust flow. You know, on the PBN site. For that particular post, you can do that. Just go purchase a couple high trust flow SAPE links or something and point them to your PBN. That'll boost the trust flow of it. And so you know, again, if it's the most important the phrase in this whole question here, guys, is niche relevant. You said niche relevant, then I would absolutely leave the link. Don't worry about those metrics so much as long as it's niche relevant, and you can always boost those metrics. Okay. All right, Kevin, next question. Forgot to ask, I have noticed in Majestic that it shows backlinks that were deleted at some point in time. Does Majestic still count those backlinks trust flow or citation flow against the money site even though the backlink has been deleted? No, Kevin, it doesn't. And there's 2 different options in Majestic. There's the historic index and the fresh index. If you're using the fresh index, it's only going to show you what's live and not stuff that's been deleted as far as like what's being counted for trust flow, citation flow. Also, on your backlinks page inside of Majestic, there's a button that says to hide or show deleted backlinks. I always click the hide button because why the hell do I want to look at deleted backlinks? I could care less about them. All right, so you can filter those out inside of Majestic just by clicking a button at the top of that backlinks page. And also, if you're using the fresh index, it's not going to show. If you use historic, it's going to show. But I don't ever look at the historic index, really. Okay. Well, I do, but that not for the purposes of determining the quality of what the current state of a domain is. Next question. One more thing. Do Weebly sites pass TrustFlow and LinkJuice even though they are not indexed unless you pay for a premium account? Kevin, I don't know who told you that, but that's unless Weebly changed something recently, that's bullshit. Weebly sites will index without being a paid account.
Mm-hmm.
So unless something changed, like I said, within the last couple weeks, Weebly sites, I've only got one paid Weebly site out of probably hundreds of them, and all of mine are indexed just fine.
Yep. And have in mind, Kevin, that I don't know about TrustFlow, but LinkShoes, you do not need a link to be indexed to pass LinkShoes.
That's
okay,
right.
it will pass probably less LinkShoes, but it will pass LinkShoes nonetheless.
Even if it's not indexed. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Because you can have the tag no index to follow, which will pass LinkShoes, of course. And I have had some great results with PBN that are no index. So have that in mind. I don't know about TrustFlow though. We will need to. I don't know. Maybe we'll need to investigate that.
On another note, I've heard that a fresh Weebly gains like a TrustFlow increase of 5 simply by being indexed. There are any other Web 2s that get, again, I don't know where you're reading this stuff, Kevin, but I would, I think that's all like you just said. Is that all just hocus pocus? I think that's all a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you.
Kevin, my advice to Kevin would be just test.
Yeah,
all you have
test.
to do is test it.
No
Go
question.
set up a Weebly, try to get it indexed, get a free one. Go get it indexed. Do whatever you have to do to get it indexed. It will get indexed, and then check the TrustFlow metrics.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, if you search for site column Weebly operator, it has 17 million results. So
Yeah.
it's probably indexing.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, as far as getting a TrustFlow boost just from being indexed, I don't think that's part of the TrustFlow equation. Again, I haven't tested that specifically, but I can't imagine why that would give a boost for just for being indexed, because TrustFlow is based upon links and relevant content and the authority of the sites that those links are coming from. So it's not something that I could imagine just having a link indexed or page indexed is going to get a TrustFlow boost. But again, haven't tested it, so I don't know for sure, but that would be my thoughts.
Right. Yeah. We might need to check with Majestic guys, you know, if indexing it's another metric on their algorithm, another factor on their algorithm.
Maybe.
It might be. I don't know.
Daryl says, question for you about the done-for-you link building service. I'd like to purchase a 2-tier package, but I am unsure how how I should treat the anchor text. Would it create an issue for my money site if the third tier in the chain had multiple exact match anchors for my money keyword and all the links that led back to my money site were do follow? Yes, Daryl, it totally would cause problems. You don't want to do that, guys. You know, the only time you should have exact match anchor text, which you should use very sparingly, is on tier 1. That's it. Anything, and even then, again, very sparingly, man. You can rank, guys, with all on page now, and you still need links, but you can rank with just brand terms and naked URLs now, if your on page is correct. All right, so do not use exact match anchors for tier 2 or tier 3. Don't do it. Use more broad, very broad keywords, generics, or URL anchors. Now, it does make sense at times to use the brand term, the brand name, as an anchor when linking to the tier 1 branded IFTTT properties. So in other words, in your tier 2 links, using brand terms as anchors to link to your tier 1 IFTTT properties. Why? Because it's an extension of the brand. But as far as any type of keyword anchors for tier 2 and beyond, always go with very broad, very general keywords within the same theme, right? The same keyword set. And then also use generics and naked URLs. That's all you need to do. Okay? Let's see. To branded site. All the links in the chain are do follow. Is there any chance I can over-optimize for the term pink underwear? Yeah, because remember, guys, that's exactly why. Remember, keyword relevancy passes through do follow links. So, it just doesn't make sense to have exact match anchors 2 or 3 tiers out. It just doesn't make sense because it's not close enough proximity to the main source, your main target. So it's kind of, think of it like a funnel, guys. At the top of the funnel, it's wide. That would be your very broad or generic terms. As you get closer at the bottom of the funnel, the output, the spout, where it spits out, that's your money site. And as you get further along towards the money site, your keywords should become more concentrated or more exact, if that makes sense. So you start broad, and you can tier 3, it would be very broad or generic and URL only. Then tier 2, it would be, again, very broad URLs, a few generics. Then on tier 1, and possibly some brand terms in there. Then on tier 1, it could be mostly brand and URL, but some exact match anchors and some broad match anchors as well. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Daryl, you're in the mastermind. Bring that question up tomorrow. We will cover that more in depth if you'd like, with some examples. Florian says, a question from the last Hump Day Hangout. I'm a member of Network Crusader, a product from Gregory Ortiz. Inside this tool, we have the ability to share PBNs between members and post on each other's PBNs. So I would like to suggest an idea. What about creating a PBN group on Network Crusader only for Semantic Mastery community, and add the condition that in order to enter the PBN group, your PBNs have the following requirements: 15 DA, 15 trust flow with a branded IFTTT network which meets the SM standards. It could be pretty massive and effective. Let me know what you think, guys. That's not a bad idea, because it would be like crowdsourcing an actual PBN network. I still would only recommend that it would be used for like tier 2 links, though.
It's kind of Fiverr network.
Yeah, very much like Fightback network. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florian, if my suggestion would be, I don't think that we have time to manage it, so it should be kind of a private initiative. But main point would be keep it private. Because if you're really out there, like these kind of tools like Network Crusader or Fiverr Network, they tend to go out with their network. So the more private you keep them, the better.
Yeah, Florian, I would say that that's not a bad idea, but like Hernan said, it's not something that we're probably going to get involved in. We could maybe help you to promote it a bit, like internally to our members or something, if you were to organize something like that, because I'm sure it could be useful. But Florian, step 1, join the mastermind, damn it, because that would be something that we would probably keep in the mastermind alone, obviously, because that's where the more serious, the people that are willing to pay attention to detail. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. And not that you guys outside of the mastermind wouldn't, but I think that would be something that we would probably keep a little bit more private, like Hernan just mentioned. So that would be a project that could be spearheaded within the mastermind. And I'm not sure, we'd have to discuss it further. But get into the mastermind and bring it up, and we'll talk about it some further. Okay, where is the meme? Where's the meme? That's you, Adam, but I'm waiting for Wayne's. There it is.
Yeah, that's Kevin.
That's Kevin. Plus one that. All right, sorry, got off track here. Let's see. What's next? Hey, Jason's here. I haven't seen him in a while. Let's see. Okay, keep going.
Yeah,
Michael says, if I'm using subdomains to cover multiple locations in a city, should I create the links to those subdomains from the root domain site, or should they be siloed? Michael, I wouldn't use multiple subdomains. Okay, multiple locations in a city. Yeah, I guess you could do that. It depends on the situation. Usually I do a subdomain per city, but if you had multiple locations within one city, it could make sense to do that, although I would almost put everything on just one city site and have location pages because it would be easier to manage. But it just depends on the situation, Michael. So I don't know specifics on your situation, but should I create links to those subdomains from the root domain site? Should they be siloed? You can. You totally can. Like, if you have the root domain, you could use that as kind of like just a directory index site. In other words, you have some general information about the business, and then you have the locations page, which would link out to each one of the individual locations, and maybe have the name, address, phone number for each one of them, and the link over to each one of the subdomain sites. You certainly can do that. That wouldn't hurt anything. Just make sure that all your link building activity is all done to the subdomains individually and not to the root. Okay? Because what you're trying to do is avoid the root ever catching a penalty, because then it will pull all your subdomains and everything attached to that domain down. And so if you can still use the root, don't get me wrong, I just wouldn't do any link building activity to it. Okay? Should they be siloed? Well, yeah, it just depends. Again, Michael, I think for so many local sites, silos are overkill. They're not needed. And I think there's just too much information out on the web right now that, you must have siloed websites, and I can't tell you how many people approach us with these incredibly complex diagrams of how they're going to silo out their local bricklayer website. And it's like, holy S, there's, they put 5 hours into drawing diagrams for a siloed site for a bricklayer when all you need is pretty much a one-page site. So I just say, should they be siloed? If you're in a very competitive niche, you're probably going to need to do that. If you're not so much of a competitive niche, you most likely don't need to do it. You could just have a flat site. In other words, just single individual pages on the site targeting the keywords. Okay. Keith Goodwin, on a new silo structure, would you change existing setups or just leave them as is? I don't know what you mean entirely, Keith. New silo structure, change existing setups or leave them as is. It depends.
He's talking about with reference to what you were saying about having sites where you would have a really close keyword association. Through the silos, because he posted that when we were talking about answering that question. He's saying, would you go back and change those if they were already set up?
Question. And Keith, one of the easiest things you can do in that situation is just go to the individual pages or posts, depending on how it was set up, that are the supporting articles that are closely related terms to the top level page, and just set the canonical to point to the top level page. That's the easiest way to fix that. Because now, and guys, if you have older silo structures where you did that and you're worried about now there being too much similar content within the silo, just go set the canonical to point to the silo heading. And all that's going to do is it's going to tell, you're telling Google, based on the canonical setting, that hey, look, this content is very similar to this content over here. Give all the credit for this to that other page that I'm pointing to, if that makes sense. So essentially you're telling Google, hey, look, we understand this page is very similar in its content to this other page here, so I want to pass all the credit over to here. And that is a totally 100% Google approved way to do that. Okay? Just Google it if you want. Search Google canonical settings or something like that, and you'll see plenty of documentation from Google themselves about how to do that. All right, we're almost out of time. We'll answer just a couple more really quick. Let's see, Wayne, I was waiting for a meme. Haven't seen it yet. Oh, there he is. That's great. Joe Newell says, build your own assets. That's what Joe's talking about. Build your own assets. End of story. +1 that. I'll give it another one if I could. Keith says, is there a post on how to set up your own asset, then redirect a client's domain as discussed earlier? Keith, it's in the mastermind. Again, we got a mastermind webinar tomorrow. We can cover that again during the webinar tomorrow. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them then. Use the same one you did in the training. Let's see. I did send in this to Adam. What did he use?
Oh, that's fine. He was just talking about the stuff we were talking about earlier that you answered his question.
Okay. Okay. All right, I think we're done. We got to wrap it up. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We will see masterclass members in just about 5 minutes.
Holy crap, Wayne, that is disturbing.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, all right, guys. See you guys.
We'll see you on.
All right, man.
Bye.
Bye.